What if I told you this wasn't a scenario about dancing at all? What if this one moment spoke volumes about all of the dynamics in Kody and Robyn's relationship? Who's in control? Who is off balance? And who changes for survival? Because when Robyn says, I feel like the pole and he's the stripper, she isn't joking. She's confessing something deeper, that she's present, but not partnered. This isn't about tango, it's about power, about who's in charge and who walks away to avoid the fight. And once you see it, you'll never watch this scene the same way again. The conflict does not start on the dance floor. It begins in the pause before the music starts. Robyn doesn't say Kody is a bad dancer, which would be a criticism of his skill. She describes something altogether more revealing, something emotional, not technical. It's almost like he's dancing by himself. That one line quietly reframes the whole thing. This isn't about rhythm, or timing, or coordination. It's about presence, about whether two people are actually sharing a moment, or just occupying the same space. For Kody, dancing is pure expression. It's freedom. It's release. He calls it exuberance, excitement, passion. He loses himself in the movement. His arms, hips, head, everything moves with confidence and intensity. In his mind, this is joy. This is authenticity. This is who he is. But it is totally different for Robyn. For her, the dancing of Kody doesn't feel shared. It feels separate. She isn't getting pulled into the moment. She isn't being guided or connected to. Instead, she feels like she's standing still while something loud and energetic happens around her. And that's when she says what matters most. I don't have a pump dance. I have nothing. It sounds deprecating on the face of it, almost like she is calling herself boring. Well, that is not what she is saying either. What she really means is this: there is no place for me here. She's not short on ideas, she's short on space. Robyn is asking Kody not to stop dancing, but to make an adjustment, to slow his tempo, to notice her, to meet her where she was in that minute, both emotionally and physically. But Kody doesn't hear that, because for Kody, expression feels like identity, and any request to soften it feels like rejection. This is where the imbalance first comes into light. Kody frames dancing as an individual right. This is how I move. This is how I feel. This is me. Robyn frames dancing as a communal act, something two people do together, not side by side. So while Kody is thinking, why can't she just let go? Robyn thinks to herself, why doesn't he want to see me? And that's the power struggle. Not loud, not dramatic, but deeply present. Robyn even admits she feels embarrassed, not because of how it looks, but because of how alone it makes her feel. Public embarrassment often isn't about judgment from others. It's about the fear of being exposed in your discomfort, while the person beside you feels completely at ease. And that's the imbalance. One is having a really good time. One is quietly shrinking. Kody doesn't notice this shrinking, or if he does, he doesn't slow down enough to respond to it. His exuberance fills the space so completely that there's no room left for hesitation, for restraint, or for emotional safety. The moment provides a subtle introduction to a pattern we've seen before. Leadership, to Kody, is a synonym for intensity. About partnership, Robyn says, it means a kind of mutual awareness. He wants admiration, someone to watch, to affirm, to follow his energy. She is calling for connection, someone to move with, not around. Neither one of them is wrong, but they are out of step. The real tension here is not over dancing style, it's about pace. When one partner goes faster, louder, and harder, the other has two options: pace along or step back. Robyn chose to step back, not because she doesn't care, but because she didn't want to perform a version of herself that didn't feel natural. And Kody? He doesn't ever slow down. He just keeps going. Because to slow down would be to notice the imbalance, and to notice the imbalance would be to assume responsibility. That is why there is conflict in front of the dance floor. The lesson hasn't even started yet, but the struggle already has. So the question remains, can two people really dance together? But what if one refuses to slow down long enough to make room for the other? There are jokes that strike lightly, and then there are jokes that hit because they're telling the truth. When Robyn says, he dances with me like I'm the pole and he's the stripper, it sounds playful at first, almost exaggerated, almost funny. But it is not humor. That's a boundary. Robyn isn't trying to embarrass Kody. She's trying to explain something that words alone haven't fixed, a feeling she's been carrying for long. In that one comparison, she lays out the entire emotional imbalance of the moment. A pole doesn't move. The pole doesn't lead. A pole is there to support someone else's performance, and that's how Robyn feels. Not like a partner being guided through shared movement, but like a stationary object being circled, used, and displayed. She isn't being invited into the dance, she's being performed around. This matters because dancing is one of the most intimate forms of nonverbal communication between two people. When it works, it requires trust, awareness, and responsiveness. One person leads, yes, but the other actively participates. Both adjust. Both listen. Robyn is saying that isn't happening. She feels objectified, not sexually, but emotionally, reduced to a prop that enhances Kody's energy rather than sharing it. She's present, but not included. Visible, but not valued as an equal mover in the space. And Kody's response? He doesn't stop. He is not reflective. He doesn't ask her what she means. Instead, he downplays. He treats her words as if she was exaggerating, as if her overthinking was a problem, and her unease was one with which she should grapple. He frames the whole issue as her problem, her sensitivity, her hesitation, her inability to just have fun. That is where the real pattern reveals itself. When Robyn shows her discomfort, Kody doesn't catch the cue and modify his behavior. He relabels the pain. Nothing like, I'm overwhelming you. It's, you're uncomfortable with my exuberance. It's not, I'm dancing at you. It's, you don't like how I dance. That shift matters, because once it becomes her discomfort, Kody doesn't have to change anymore. The onus quietly shifts to Robyn, to lighten up, to be flexible, to keep up. And Robyn feels that transfer immediately. You can feel it in the way she qualifies herself, the way she mollifies her tone, the way she returns over and over to how she just wants to be equal. Not dominant, not passive, but equal. But equality requires two persons willing to adjust their rhythm. For Kody, dance is not something that should change. To him, this is natural, authentic, almost sacred. He said that leading means setting the pace, not responding to the partner's capacity. So when Robyn tells Kody that she feels like an accessory, he hears critique, not information. And that's the emotional wall. Kody's humor becomes a shield. Joking deflects accountability. Laughing reframes seriousness. And lightness keeps him from having to sit in the discomfort of realizing he might be overpowering the moment. Meanwhile, Robyn becomes more aware of herself, more cautious, more reserved. And she begins to monitor herself, rather than the connection. That's what happens when one partner refuses to change rhythm, the other starts shrinking to survive the tempo. The dynamic doesn't only exist on the dance floor, it is a microcosm. Kody thrives in spaces where he can perform, lead, and be admired. Robyn succeeds in spaces where there's mutual responsiveness. When those needs clash, Kody keeps moving, and Robyn becomes still. And the icing on the cake? Robyn doesn't ask him to stop dancing. She asks him to dance with her. But Kody hears it as an attempt to control him, to tame his wildness. So instead of slowing down, he doubles down on his identity as the energetic one, the expressive one, the leader. And once again, nothing changes for Robyn, smiling, explaining, thank you for adjusting. It doesn't argue with the pole. The pole doesn't move. The pole simply does not move. The question now is not about dance lessons at all. It means this: what takes place in a relationship, in cases when one partner does not agree to change the rhythm, in which one of them has to make a decision to either keep standing still or finally move away? The moment the instructor steps onto the floor, everything shifts. Up until now, Kody has called the shots, set the pace, led the charge even when no one asked him to. But in that room, at that time, there's new authority in charge. And for the very first time, Kody isn't in charge. The tutor doesn't judge his enthusiasm. They do not remark on his excitement. They focus on something much more disturbing for him. He's working his feet incorrectly. It is just a correction, technically neutral, almost gentle. But, psychologically, it beats heavy upon landing. For the sake of being at fault means something deeper than that. Your instincts will not be sufficient. It means you must slow down, listen, and follow. And that is something Kody struggles with. You can see it right away in his response. He doesn't resist outright. He doesn't fight. Instead, he turns the gear to what appears to be resolve but feels more like control mask as effort. I have to drill it 100 times. On the surface, this sounds committed, responsible, almost admirable, but underneath, it reveals discomfort. Kody isn't embracing instruction, he's trying to overpower it through repetition. If he drills it enough, He won't have to feel corrected. He can turn learning into endurance instead of adjustment. This is a familiar pattern. As Kody loses control of the story, he makes up for it by being intense, working harder, repetitive, action-packed, do anything but sit and take direction. The instructor is explaining again, this time slower, this time, and Kody realizes something alarming. He's been treading the wrong path all along. That's the recognition that shatters his confidence, for a moment only. This comes across when he wants to see it again, when he catches himself mid-motion, when he acknowledges the need to repetitively drill this detail into his memory. It's not that he can't learn. It is because learning is subject to subordination. But that's where Robyn comes in as the contrast. As Kody struggles to keep up, getting lost in his own mind, Robyn slips through with ease. She listens, she follows, she modifies her motion without hesitation. Her body easily responds to direction, not because she's doing it better, but because she's open to learning. The instructor even points out that, although Robyn is really graceful, grace here does not mean elegance. Grace means responsiveness, to take correction without pride, to move within boundaries instead of resisting them. And Robyn waits. She waits while Kody drills. She waits for him as he asks a second time. She waits while he repeats the same step again and again. She doesn't hurry him. She doesn't correct him. She doesn't show dominance. She just holds space. And in that instant, symbolism cannot be avoided. Robyn naturally partners well in a structured way, shared roles, responsiveness, guided interaction. By contrast, Kody finds it difficult if it isn't him leading. When power comes from another source, Kody tightens up, repeats himself, and shows slight frustration. You can just feel his seriousness about learning. All things become robotic 10 times, and then another 10, as if acquiring expertise is about defeating rather than soaking up. But dancing, like partnership, doesn't function like that. You can't force rhythm. You can't dominate connection. You just cannot drill intimacy into existence, because drilling is, and yet, Kody does try. His confidence hasn't gone away, it's been redirected. He is no longer trying to lead Robyn, but now he is attempting to lead the process and make learning a thing he can control. Robyn, on the other hand, doesn't have to control anything. She just needs to follow the structure, and by doing this, she will become more grounded and more present. The irony here is quite striking. The man who prides himself on his leadership can't relax when he isn't in charge. These are the words of Nelson Mandela. The woman demanding equality prospers under joint guidance. It's more than just the lessons in dance. It's how each of them reacts to an authority figure. Robyn respects it. Kody resists it, quietly, persistently, unconsciously. And that's why this moment is so important. Because if Kody doesn't know how to take teaching on the dance floor, in a safe environment, in a setting with little consequence, how is he going to take teaching in a relationship situation? Is he able to follow if he needs to? Can he adjust without dominating? Whether he can divide his control instead of reclaiming it? Or perhaps leadership for him can only occur if he controls the rhythm? That question lingers while music holds a pause. Can Kody accept guidance or only dominance? Often, it is in seemingly innocuous language that truth is revealed at its most basic level. Kody has named Robyn his lovely assistant. He says all this lightly, playfully, almost lovingly. She just categorizes people, because Robyn knows exactly what it means and what it doesn't. Later, when she tries to explain what it is, it loses all its comicality. You were just a holder, not a collaborator. No role in decision-making. A lack of partnership with agency. Just present. That's why this moment is so important, because it's not about the bags, or the tools, or the practice of the dance. It's about the labor of emotions, the unseen labor of working towards someone else's agenda while putting your own voice aside. Robyn recognizes the pattern that exists in her relationship. When Kody is working on other projects, he wants assistance, but not input. He wants to have some presence in the room, but not to be noticed. He wants to have witnesses, but not critics. That's what lovely assistant means. It is not a role that has any intention of sharing the powers of authority, but rather one that, and Robyn sees it right away because she's lived through it. It's not the first time she's been relegated to just beyond center, close enough to be helpful, distant enough to remain quiet. She's there to ratify Kody's choices, to reassure him that all is right with the world, to witness as he directs. But partnership is not leadership without common ground. It's hierarchy. Robyn is, I think, perfectly uncomfortable. This isn't dramatic. Robyn doesn't blast off. Robyn doesn't ask for change. Robyn points out the inequality, and really it's a poetic thing. Robyn points out the inequality, explaining why she doesn't want to be an accessory. Robyn wants to be included, not as an assistant, but as an equal. And that is important. Kody wants recognition. Robyn wants participation. Kody needs help. Robyn wants to be Kody wants adoration. In fact, Robyn wants joint authority, but those desires don't align. Kody performs well when he is the center of attention, being validated and encouraged in his momentum. He is energized by presence, not partnership. He is most confident when the framework is in place. Lead, and the others adjust. Robyn, on the other hand, can function well when there is role sharing, when there is decision-making together, when she has an important say, when she is not only close by, but also participating. And it's at this point where the underlying emotional current becomes more complex. Robyn confesses that this is what was happening in their relationship, at a time when our marriage wasn't doing well. That makes all the difference, because it reminds us that this isn't just a harmless quirk, that this isn't just some game of tic-tac-toe chat, but rather this is behavior with implications, behavior that manifests best when it's under pressure within this relationship dynamic. If things aren't going well, Kody won't depend on teamwork. He leans on control, and as control enhances, Robyn's involvement decreases. She grows quiet, more measured, more loyal, less aggressive. Because attacking the system is provocative, at this point, flare-ups are just too expensive. So she holds the bag. I'm right here. She plays the part. But this too is the quiet danger of emotional labor. It frequently looks like solidarity itself. It sounds like accommodation. It sounds like compromise, yet it undermines equality over time. Robyn's not asking to rule. Robyn isn't asking to follow instead of Kody. Robyn is asking to stand side by side with Kody, not behind him and definitely not beneath him. However, this is not heard by Kody, because in his understanding, partnership is loyalty, showing up, being there, agreeing, and anything more, such as asking questions, correcting him, having a say, is opposition. So he jokes, he reproses, he says it is playful. However, the pressure of all of that falls on Robyn. She knows that the role of the lovely assistant is to be needed, not heard, to be valued but not empowered, to be close but not equal. And this realization resides quietly between them. Because if this is how projects work, he said, if this is how dancing is done, if this is how correction is made, then comes a larger question. Is Robyn a true partner within the relationship? Or is she more likely to have been expertly crafted into a role player, one who happens to feature another person in a leading role? This question persists unanswered, and this directly introduces the final shift, the point at which affection, exclusivity, and reward supplant equality outright. The scene where he shaves the beard is quite light, playful, still, but it all quietly shifts. Until now, love in their relationship has been guarded with its display tempered by circumstances, by rules, by other wives. Touch was something that had to be quantified, measured, controlled in order not to upset the equation in a polygamous marriage. Public shows of affection were not prohibited, but rather controlled. And now, suddenly, it isn't. Okay, we flirt quite a bit since now it's just the two of us. This is even more impactful than it might seem. This is because it not only embodies the change that has been being manifested all along in the scene, but also in values. What was shared is now only available to a few. Measurability. What was once measured has become indulgent. The beard becomes the symbol. Kody complains about his facial hair poking Robyn, getting in the way of kissing. Robyn teases him, promising him more if he shaves. It's a flirty and seemingly silly thing, until a new dynamic is shown. Love has become transactional. Razor the beard, kiss more, modify your behavior, receive reward. It's not mean-spirited, she continued. It's subtle, and that's where Kody is pampered, lauded for having altered something small, something cosmetic, something visible. Robyn reacts positively, lovingly, approvingly. The cycle is easy to see, easy to recognize. Compliance is rewarded. Adjustment is commended. Resistance fades away silently. Yet this moment marks the end of all the foregoing. Beforehand, Robyn asked for a change in the way Kody danced with her, emotionally and relationally slowing down, giving way, sharing the control. None of this happened. However, in this case, Kody changes something superficial, his beard, and gives him affection immediately. The message is subtle yet clear. An improvement for my comfort gets a reward. An enhancement for my. Any kind of change that opposes my dominance will not receive attention. And Robyn adapts. She leans into the playfulness. She laughs. She flirts. She reassures him. She admires his jawline. She praises his youthfulness. She reacts positively because that is what she is used to now, because that is what she feels comfortable responding to. This is non-threatening, and it upholds their power dynamic. Kody prospers in this niche. He knows he is wanted. He feels affirmed. He is pampered. Love changes to the point of being too blatant and excessive, sharing kisses and humor, and flirting. Everything hitherto held back to maintain a healthy perspective on things is expressed with complete candor. Which means this represents the last stage of drifting away from the establishment of a joint value system towards the private pleasure principle. This is not about keeping the peace in several relationships anymore. This is about cultivating one. The plural framework, a basis for maintaining a certain restrained quality in politics, is eliminated. That is, the need for moderation is eliminated along with it. What replaces it is not equality, it's exclusivity. But exclusivity alters the rules here. Robyn doesn't have to fight with Kody anymore for his attention and time. However, she no longer tries to share the power either. She adapts. She becomes softer. She rewards. Because the system is effective, as long as she maintains alignment with what Kody wants, Kody in turn becomes even more indulgent, more affectionate, more playful, more laid back, just not more introspective. The imbalance is still there, just packaged in hugs instead of hostility. The dance is finished. There are no more lessons, no more corrections, no more discussions about rhythm or leadership. The relationship has evolved into a new pattern, one where comfort has replaced challenge and affection has replaced accountability. And that is the final realization. Robyn adjusts. Kody, on the other, not because the imbalance had disappeared, but because it had become comfortable. Kisses don't mend the pattern, they soften it. However, the laughter doesn't solve the power struggle. It distracts from it, and so the connection presses on, certainly not in a perfect harmony, but through a beat that is more about one participant's convenience than others' voices. The dance finishes, the music fades out, but the imbalance is still there, quieter now, warmer now, and much more permanent.